around that time with Kickstarter, a lot of guys were coming out, developers were coming out with these ideas that they had for games, and they had a couple of mocked up screenshots, and they were actually kind of going to say, this is what we're actually going to do. And our angle with our campaign was basically, this game is finished. The game it exists in one form or another, and that was kind of our big selling point, was the fact that it wasn't an idea, it was an actual game that was fully in production, that we were actually going to be moving forward with and working on. And so the idea with that alpha demo that we actually released was to show people that it also give people an idea of what the game would actually be like to play, what the atmosphere was actually like. I mean, Kickstarter essentially kind of exploded a couple of months before that, maybe about a year or so before that, with Tim Schafer, who wanted to kickstart his kind of new adventure game, and he asked for $500,000 or $300,000, something along those lines, and I think he ended up with I think it was $2.5 million or $2.9 million, and basically then all these other developers and indie people saw Kickstarter as a viable funding method for actually getting their game completed. And of course, like a lot of people in South Africa, like when you explain the idea of Kickstarter, well, just not only in South Africa, in general, so people are like, so how does it actually work? And I mean, the closest thing that you kind of get to explaining it is like, if you had your favorite band and they hadn't made an album in 20 years and they wanted to do this album, essentially, if I was to go and say, okay, fine, I will pay 100 Rand, and then in 2 or 3 years you will get me this album, it wouldn't have existed without that initial funding. So we kind of looked at what we had, how much game I actually had, and how much game I still had to actually make. And essentially I still would have completed Stasis without the Kickstarter, but the Kickstarter essentially said, okay, fine, now I can go and I can take a year off from work and I can really focus and get the game done. So it took my timeline down from 3.5 years or so down to a year of very, very hard, intensive work to actually get the game out there. And also showed that there was a market out there for the game. We had, I think now it's 4,500, 5,000 people have actually prepaid to have access to the game, and that shows that there's a market out there for that. And it kind of justified to me the case of being able to take a year off, knowing that there were people out there that actually were excited about it.
Like, how did you work out how much you needed, basically?
We sort of work backwards. We work with the amount of people that would have justified me taking a year off of the game. So we said, if we're going to take a year off, I need this amount of people. Then we said, okay, fine, with this amount of people, how much money would that actually equate to? And then we said, okay, fine, now if we have this money, what can we do with this money to make certain that amount of people will be happy with the end product? So it was as much a case of, we needed the money to complete the game as it was we needed the people out there. You need to know that there were people out there to actually allow us to move forward with it.
And how much did you get in the end?
We got I think it was 132,000 or so on Kickstarter, $1,000 on Kickstarter. And then since then we've been running a PayPal pre-order campaign as well. And I think we're up to, I think it's $150,000, $160,000, somewhere around there. So essentially what they're doing is they're buying the product just before the product is actually being released. So they don't get a share in the profit. It's incredible because it's, people like they know that without them the game wouldn't be made, and they're just generously saying that they're putting their trust in me to actually make the game. And that was also why we actually did the alpha demo when it went out, was basically say, I can do it. If you enjoy the alpha demo, like if it wasn't just this ethereal idea and had made that I kind of had an idea that I could possibly pull it off. It was like, this, we can do it. This is the game. It does exist in some form. I just need your help to finish it and to make it bigger and to make it better. And the fact that people actually responded to it, it's still like mind-boggling to me that people actually do that. The generosity of the gaming community internationally is astounding.
So I just recently finished the Kickstarter with this guy from the Netherlands.
Okay.
So he made a game, I did all the art, it's called Factory Funner. The Kickstarter just ended, it was 190% funded. It was great, it was great fun. It was really good insight into how Kickstarter works from the other end. Because we all look at Kickstarter and think, oh my god, this is amazing miracle stuff. A lot of work goes into it. and you have to really know what you're doing to make a success of it. And like, from what I know, the guy that I work with, his name is Corné van Moorsel, very Dutch. He's a very a-traditional guy. So like, he's got no social media, he's got no real web presence, yet all his stuff runs. And it's just amazing to know like that there's different ways of making it work.
I basically have a year to make this game. I have private funding, an angel investor swooped in, paying me a salary for a year, and I've set out to make the absolute best game that I can make in a year. So I know my limitations and I know my talents, and I'm trying to leverage those and also bring in some outside help where my skills fall a little bit short, try to help me with some of that stuff. Yeah, so it's a pretty classical business arrangement. They invest money, they expect a return, and a little bit something on top of that. I intend to sell the game and make it into a commercial success. And the development of this first game will fund the next game, and so on and so forth.